Good evening, Drew.
I'm early.
You are early.
Oh, 2 whole minutes.
Wow.
I hear beeping. Did you just heat something up in the microwave?
I believe my wife is heating up some dog food. And that sounds weird, I know, but
well, no, I'm not. I'm not going to question that. I just think she needs to understand that we have a commitment to quality on this program, and I'm not going to tolerate any nonsense.
yeah.
You can tell her I said that. Actually, don't tell her I said that. How are things?
No, things are fine. How are you? How are your things?
Oh boy, I just got back into town. I was traveling this week to the great city of Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit.
Yeah, visiting a company that you and I both know.
Oh, okay.
So I almost brought you back a T-shirt, but that might have been weird.
Okay.
Yeah. I know, it was a good trip. I was up there teaching a class this week. I drove up, which was nice. That's not a bad drive. Kind of boring. You kind of go through like the armpit of Ohio, also known as Kenton, Ohio, and then you get on Interstate 75 and drive to Detroit. So it wasn't too bad. I hit like the mother of all potholes though, and I was convinced. I was convinced that I ruined my car. There's like just parts of 75 that are just cratered, and I was changing lanes to pass a car, and there was like just this. I saw a hole in the road, and I thought, well, this is going to suck, but I didn't anticipate how bad it was going to suck, and like the whole car just shuddered, and I thought for sure at a minimum that I had ruptured a tire, if not bent like my entire wheel. Like it landed that hard, and like.
Wow.
And like it scared me, like the ferocity of just how bad I bottomed out in the bottom of that pothole literally shook me a little bit. And for like the next 5 minutes, I just kind of paused my music and just like drove to see if I could hear anything weird.
And just waiting for that weird knock or rattle.
Waiting for a knock or a rattle or a tire pressure sensor thing to come on, something, right? Like I just, yeah. And fortunately, it was fine. And then when I got to the hotel, I valeted my car for basically the whole week, and I was walking to and from where I was going. And I just was convinced that the valet was going to be like, yeah, your tire's flat. So, no, it all worked out. But, yeah, I was there for 3 days, had a good time. I really didn't know what to expect visiting downtown Detroit. I had been to the suburbs of Detroit a few times, but I'd never been in downtown. So that was a first for me, and I'm not gonna say that I went in with low expectations, because I had been hearing from people from some time that like downtown Detroit is actually kind of cool.
Yeah, I've heard the same thing. Yeah, it's not. It's. I guess it did have some some down times, but it's really improved, and the downtown's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, it wasn't like I didn't feel unsafe, right? Like I walked to and from where I was at every day. I went and found things to eat and things to do, which we'll talk more about here in a minute. It was a really cool experience. Now you know me, I'm not a big drinker.
Right.
I like to have a cocktail from time to time. But I went out to dinner with a buddy of mine on Thursday night, and I overdid it a little bit.
Every once in a while you got to tie one on, right?
Yeah, it was a. I'll be honest with you. The last 2 weeks have been pretty stressful for me for a number of reasons, and I was looking for a way to vent. So we went and had a big old greasy dinner full of hamburgers and tater tots, and then we went to a local distillery called the Two Jameses Distillery, and they make their own bourbon.
Nice.
Now, I am not a bourbon snob. I could probably tell you the difference between good bourbon and bad bourbon, but this was pretty good bourbon. So I had 3 old fashions, and then we got into some pretty deep discussions. So we took our conversation from the distillery to a wine bar. I don't really remember. And
okay,
I had a glass of Chianti. Took an Uber back to my hotel room and vomited. Yeah, dude, it was rough. I was feeling pretty rough this morning. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh no, that's not fun.
Overall, good trip. I got to meet some really cool people with where I was helping out, and like I said, I just kind of walked around and got to see some sights. You're right. There's definitely still some buildings downtown that are either vacant or abandoned, but all in all, there's a lot of millenniums walking around downtown Detroit, right? They've all got their loft apartments, and I guess apartments are actually pretty expensive in Detroit, which doesn't make any sense to me. But there's lots going on downtown, lots of cool restaurants. I didn't really get to go to Greektown or the Campus Marshes that much, which are areas of downtown, I guess. I was basically staying like right across the river from Windsor. So, fun fact, if you're a geography snob, you'll know that when you're in Detroit, you're actually looking south into Canada, which hurts my head a little bit. So,
I've never, I mean, you look at a map and you can see that, but it's weird.
It's a little jarring. And if you go to Google Earth and you like find like the GM building, which is like right there on the river on Jefferson Ave, there is a Courtyard and a Courtyard Marriott literally across from the street from each other, and I was staying in one of those hotels. So yeah, it was a good trip. I'm happy to be home. There's really let me say this. With as much as I travel, there is definitely something for staying in your own bed, right? Sleeping in your own bed and being comfortable.
Indeed.
I think that having access to your own bathroom is way more important, right? Just being able to, your own shower.
Many things in there. Yes.
Your own shower with the water pressure that you're used to. Your library for your extended stays. It's just my bathroom to me is more important than my bed. I don't know.
You know what? I 100% agree. It's having the shower, knowing exactly where to put the dial to get the right temperature, the right water pressure, having places to put all your stuff. Like, I can't tell you how many times, like, you go into a hotel bathroom and you're like, okay, I've got a bottle of shampoo and a bottle of, like, body wash. Where the heck am I going to put these? And,
Here's your bar of soap that is the shape of a mint. And, don't get those confused.
Exactly. And having, just your toilet, your water, your mirror. There's a lot of comfort in that than in a bathroom.
Yeah, there really is. Now this kind of leads me to my next topic. I want to tell you about probably one of the coolest stores I've ever stumbled across in my life, and it was completely by accident. So I actually tweeted you a picture of this when it happened.
You did.
I wound up in a comic book store in downtown Detroit. So let me just go ahead and get this out of the way. The name of the store is Vault of Midnight, and they actually have 3 branches. The one that I stumbled across in downtown Detroit, a couple blocks from my hotel, is their 3rd location. Listen, I know we've talked about comics on this program before, and I'm not a comic book person. I have read a few, mangas and a few graphic novels like Watchmen and things like that. But of the two of us, you are definitely the comic book aficionado, right?
Okay, I'll buy that.
Yeah, I had a few drinks before I stumbled into this store, and I just started walking around, and they obviously had comic books, to wit, in the picture. They had many, many, many graphic novels, and they also had board games. Now,
that's a good combo.
Now, Paul, you've been to a few board game stores. You know that there are universally recognized good games. A whole lot of other games that may or may not be good. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know where to go on the internet to look at board game reviews and to know.
I certainly do.
Yeah. Yes. We're on the same page.
Yes. I may listen to like a couple of board game podcasts, things like that. Yeah.
Certain YouTube channels. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Paul, they didn't have a bad board game in the store.
Really?
Yeah. Every game you could tell was pretty much curated for what they were trying to keep in stock. Okay? And just if you name a good game, they probably had it, right?
Wow.
Like award-winning games, popular games, good party games, good Euro games, good strategy games. Like I was kind of looking over their collection, and it was just like, I either own these or want to own all of the games they have. And then, of course,
was it a smaller collection that was just like really high quality?
So at first it appeared that way, but one whole wall of the store was like games. Now, they were not graciously spread out, but not overly cramped like in most board game stores where it's like wall-to-wall shelves crammed with games.
Right.
They were very like expertly like stocked on the shelves to where there was plenty of framing around them, and nothing felt super cramped, hard to explain, but just very, very well curated and presented. I was thoroughly impressed. And, I basically took a few laps around the store. Around the register, they also had all the other things you would find in like a comic book game store, right? So like Magic and Keyforge and Pokemon and other stuff. And then they had like, Weeboo snacks like Pocky and stuff at the register. Like you get it. So
yeah.
But like,
I'm sure there was like lots of T-shirts with various characters on them, some action figures.
Actually, not so much. There was only about a half dozen T-shirts for sale.
Okay.
Right, and they were like, and like a couple of them were like their logo, right, and a couple of them were like, various tropes or whatever. Just nothing like cringy, nothing like too over the top. It was, dare I say, one of the classiest like comic book game store establishments I've ever been in.
Okay.
Yeah. So I made a few laps around the store, and I was like, I have to give these people money. Like I have to buy.
That feeling.
I have to buy something in this store, right? So I ended up buying a copy of Where Words, damn it.
Okay. Nice.
Deluxe edition. I was in the market.
Course.
I was in the market for that game. They had that game. I had money and they wanted my money, so I was like, this is good. I also picked up a copy of The Fox in the Forest, which is a 2-person trick-taking game that has some neat mechanics. It plays a lot like Hearts. Pretty decent game. I had played it once before and had it on my list. It's like $15. Like it's not like a fancy or expensive game by any stretch. And then of course they had believe it or not, in like their little action figure toy section, which again wasn't overly big. They actually had a classic Peanuts like toy of Snoopy. So I had to buy that. I had to buy that.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Very relevant. Very relevant.
And just like, meanwhile, like I'm looking around, I'm the out-of-towner, I'm just like slack-jawed at this store, and then you got like 3 guys at the register, one of them's working and 2 are just hanging out, and they're having some comic book argument, right? Like it was just so like, it was such a moment, right? And it was just like, man, I don't know what's happening, but this is really special. So, long story short, if you're in the greater Detroit area, you're looking for a cool store to go check out, Vault of Midnight, www.vaultofmidnight.com, link in the show notes. Go check it out. They're not sponsoring this show. It wasn't like, I've got a podcast and I'm going to talk about you. Like I was just like, this is just me saying this is a cool thing that happened to me when I was traveling. Go check it out. So
excellent. Yeah.
Yeah. I really feel like you would have dug it.
I probably would have. Yeah.
Yeah. So what have you been up to? What did you do this week?
Well, a little bit of work. I made some progress on the old battle jacket.
Yes, discuss.
Yeah. So I think where we left things is I was waiting for I exchanged the jacket for one that was that fit my robust figure.
I prefer the term girth.
Girth, yes, my girth. And I'd ordered some patches. So I got my the first set of patches in the mail, and I received the denim jacket. I removed the sleeves. If you go onto Twitter, you can see a bunch of tweets from me where I was approaching the problem and figuring out what I was going to do, and took lots of photos and shared. The jacket itself, it's wonderful. The sleeves came off beautifully. I left a little bit of denim around the edges so I could fray it. It's got a nice, great look. And then I proceeded to practice sewing my Snoopy patch on the spare denim of the sleeve. And I have learned that sewing is hard.
Yeah, I have only ever like sewn a button back onto a dress shirt. I've never done any like sewing for fun.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Yeah, so this particular time, I really had no idea what I was doing. I had watched some YouTube videos and had a general idea. So my first real problem was I had to learn how to thread a needle. And so I had a whole bunch of equipment, and I wasn't sure exactly what all of it was for, okay?
Well, hold on, wait a minute. You mean what do you mean a whole bunch of equipment? Like other than a needle and a thread, or
so I had this. I had the kit that you had given me, and my wife and daughter had like a small little sewing kit, very very similar to the contents, and they gave that to me as well. So I had a whole bunch of needles and thread and some things I didn't know what they were for, and I kind of just ignored them. So obviously me thinking, okay, let's attack the problem how I would without any kind of knowledge. I immediately went and picked the largest needle that I could. It was a big needle with a big old eye, and it was really easy to get the thread in there. Well, first of all, I noticed that this needle was just way too big. It was actually leaving holes. And then also when I was doing it, I broke the needle. I was pushing, I had a thimble on my thumb. I was pushing hard because you have to push the needle through, denim and a thick patch and stuff. And I just broke the needle. I was like, yeah, okay, that's okay. I was using too big of a needle. I should probably pick, a thinner needle so I don't have these big gaping holes anymore. Well, so then it literally took me 20 minutes, to get the thread into that smaller needle, and I was cursing, and I was like, you know what? There's got to be a better way. So I went on the internet, and I realized that some of the equipment that I was looking at were needle threaders. Yeah. Turns out technology. Now, are you familiar with the needle threader and what that looks like?
So, full disclosure, my mother has been a needlepoint quilter knitter her entire life.
Okay. Yes. So
none of that has rubbed off on me, just so you're aware. But yes, I am familiar with what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes. This is actually from iFixit, which is a really weird site to think that they just explain how to use a needle threader.
Okay.
But they do.
I'm going to pull that link up right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, 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 very detailed, and it actually makes threading the needles very easy. Now, the problem that I had is, if you look at this needle threader, right, there's not much to it. There's basically just, a couple of wires, and they're crisscrossed and kind of like an arrowhead shape, and
yeah, it almost looks like the thing you would like put in a soda machine to get your coin back.
Yes. They are not made well.
Turns out.
Yeah, exactly. Turns out. So during my practice run, I just destroyed one of these getting a needle thread. I did get the needle threaded, but it was a sacrificial needle threader. It just destroyed, just broken and ripped off the little handle thing. So I had one more.
All right, but time out. So if I'm assuming you bought the ones that are linked in the document here. Or I'm not linked in the document, but linked in the link that you sent.
Yeah, so I had two of them that looked very much like that, yes.
So the link they have in the iFixit article redirects to an Amazon page for the Dritz 249 needle threaders 3-count for $4.
Yeah, so these are just the ones that came with the kits. I ended up buying some more. These weren't those ones in particular. They were plastic, and there's like 50 of them because
good news.
Destroy them.
Good news. You can get ones with LEDs in them.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I don't need that. So I took my small needle and I practiced on the Snoopy and Woodstock patch. And I didn't sew the entire patch on. I was just mostly just practicing to get a feel for what it felt like. And then, so I felt pretty good about that. I'd only stabbed my finger about like 30 times. So it was a learning experience, and I'm glad I went through it. And then over this week, I think it was like Monday or Tuesday, one of the patches that I received was a very simple, just triangle. And obviously, if you've seen like the photos from the last episode, you know that my large back patch it's not a smooth shape, right? There's lots of curves, right? So I'm gonna have to, sew that on really good to make sure it doesn't catch and stuff. But I wanted to practice on a nice, easy patch. So I had this nice tribulation triangle patch. And I thought to myself, this is going to be it. This is going to be the first patch that I put on my jacket. And I grabbed my needle threader and my needle and my thread, and I went to town. It actually went surprisingly well.
Great.
I did not stab my finger at all. I did not break the needle. I did break another needle threader doing this one, though. I did not judge the amount of thread that I needed, so I had to basically do it in 2 chunks. So I had to thread the needle twice. And it's not the most even. My stitches are just oddly placed and not the same distance from each other, but it's solid. I don't think it's going to come off anytime soon. And the thing is, if I decide that I have gotten better and I really want to re-sew the patch, I can just cut the threads and take another shot at it. But it's a patch on denim. It's the first patch on my battle jacket. And I'm pretty happy.
And I'm happy for you. Now, I've got a couple. Yeah. I've got a couple questions for you. Okay, you are the one that taught me the immortal phrase that you have more money than time.
Mm-hmm.
So my questions to you are this: after what you've gone through using the needle and the thread, have you considered either A, outsourcing this sewing opportunity, or is this like a building your own lightsaber scenario, or
okay.
B, have you considered maybe getting a small sewing machine?
So, I don't know. The sewing machine scares me. I think there's a lot of room for error, and I don't want to permanently damage my patch. I have thought about it, and I have looked into it a little bit, but I think I'm going to, at least for now, I'm going to stick to hand sewing them on, stitching, whatever the right word is. And I feel that one of the important things about this battle patch is that it's my battle patch, and I have to sew the patches on. I think that's part of the experience. And also, I know I kind of feel kind of weird going into I don't know, where would I go? A dry cleaner or something, or some sort of yeah.
Excuse me, miss. Can you make this look good?
Yeah. You see, I want this on here.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it myself, and I'm thinking I'm going to do it by hand.
Okay.
I may start on the large back patch over the weekend. I doubt I'll be able to finish it all in one sitting. But I like to get started. Yes.
So where have you been doing the sewing? Where in your house, or where at work, or where away?
I'm doing it at home. We have. Technically, it's called a sunroom, but we treat it very much like our dining room. It's kind of off of the kitchen, and it's got a couple of big tables in there. And I've just been sitting in there, going at it, sitting on a kitchen, a kitchen chair at a kitchen table, going to town.
Sitting at the kitchen table, going to town. Title of my memoirs.
Yeah.
I guess I just had visions of you with your glasses on, laying in bed next to Jennifer, who is completely disgusted with you as you try to sew in bed.
She has made fun of me pretty much mercilessly the entire time I've done this, but
oh boy.
I think at the end of the day, she's just happy that I'm happy, and I just kind of sit there by myself, and I put my headphones in, and I listen to heavy metal music, and I sew my heavy metal patches on my heavy metal jacket.
I
very
mean,
much it's very much a thing. Yeah,
it sounds like a fun time to me.
yeah.
Now,
And honestly, getting the patch on, like, it's not a huge patch. It's maybe like each edge of the triangle is maybe a couple inches, right? So it's not huge, but I expected this first patch to take like 45 minutes to an hour. And I think I got the whole thing on in about like 25 minutes. Yeah.
So all right, so here's the question. And I think I know the answer to this question, but when you were like in, I'm going to say middle school, did you ever take like shop or home ec?
I did not take home ec. I did take shop, and it was kind of more than shop. And this was not in middle school. I think this was my freshman year in high school.
Okay.
I think it was called like vocational technology.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
and we had to do some woodworking, and we had to do some stuff with like plastic molding and some like basic like engineering diagramming, stuff like that. But yeah, I was bad at it.
So for me, right, the school that I went to, this started in, I think it might have been 7th grade. Maybe it was 6th grade. So when I was in school, elementary school was K through 5, and then middle school was 6 through 8, and then high school was 9 through 12. And I very distinctly remember when I got to middle school, you basically had a choice. You could either do home ec and shop. Like half the year you would do home ec and half the year you would do like wood shop or metal shop. Or you were in choir the whole year. And a lot of my friends and I did choir just because it was like, a joke. But, we did that. So I never had a shop class. I never had a home ec class. I sort of regret that decision now. I wish I had done some of those things. And when you got to high school, it became wood shop, home ec, or study hall. And everybody just did study hall. So it was like you had a choice. You didn't have to do them. Now, we also had like a vocational or vo-tech program, but that was like super hardcore. Like those were kids that did like half a day at high school for like English, math, and science or whatever. And then they would get shipped off to the vo-tech school to learn like welding or auto repair or nursing or whatever they wanted to do, right? So it was a little more harder core in that regard. We didn't have like a vo-tech program that everybody just did.
Yeah, the same thing when I was in middle school, like home ec and wood shop were available. But since I was in band, I didn't have to do that.
That was the other one, too. It was band or choir or home ec or wood shop.
Yeah. But when we got to high school, you either had to take like 9 weeks of the vocational tech or like 9 weeks of the home ec class, which wasn't called home ec at that point. It was called, I don't know, because it was called something that was trying to be a little less offensive, but still kind of was offensive.
But it's home
and I
ec.
did the vocation, yeah. But like we had the whole like vocational school as well, where if you wanted to learn auto repair or stuff like that,
electric work,
yeah, you could have gone and done that as well. But this was like just kind of like a survey of that kind of stuff. And we did woodworking and like and we had to make like molded plastic, stupid little keychain things.
Oh, that's cool though.
Yeah, I only did it because I had to. I did not enjoy it at all, and I was not very good at it, probably because I didn't really enjoy it. But
yeah, and
we got through it.
I probably was in the same boat where I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it and hated it, but like the idea of working with my hands on little things like that now is greatly appealing to me. And I have toyed with the idea of like going to night school to learn how to weld.
Really?
I have. I looked into it, and I had assumed that there were places around us where you could go do that. The closest place for us is up in Delaware. There's like an adult education center.
Mm-hmm.
But number one, kind of expensive. And number two, it's like a 12-week program.
Really?
Yeah. And that's like, you obviously have to buy some gear. You got to buy a mask and gloves and like a torch and stuff. But I've toyed with it, man, because I don't know, like one of these days I might get sick of computers and it'd be nice to have like an actual trade skill to fall back on. I don't know. I've seriously considered it. Yeah, it'd just be a question of actually doing it and trying to learn it. I don't know. Maybe I would hate it, but I feel like if I had to change careers, right? Like if the robots do truly take over, like I feel like it'd be good to know something like that.
Don't you think the robots would weld for us, though? Just throwing that out there.
Well, maybe, possibly, probably, possibly, probably.
Yeah, I'm just curious why welding. Is there something about the whole fact that you're taking two pieces of like steel and fusing them into one with a really hot, acetylene torch?
So
is that just
so two things about it. One, I have never met a welder who's not like making more money than I am.
That is true,
right?
Yeah, especially the good ones.
Welders make bank, and they can leave their work like at their job site when they leave, right? Hey, here's my 8 hours. I got this much done. I'm going home, right? I don't know. Like, you can't tell me that's not appealing after the work we do, right? You can't tell me that's not appealing.
Yeah. Okay, I get it.
Okay, and the other thing is, like, if you of course, go to Reddit and you look at like welding porn. There's some really talented people out there that can make some pretty good looking welds. And I know that I'm not going to be able to pick up a torch and do that right away, but I feel like there's a degree of talent there, just like there is for everything else. There's going to be good welders and all right welders.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not asking to go like weld pipes in some mission critical nuclear power plant thing, fix my car, weld the body of my car. All right, fine. I don't know. It's just one of those things that kind of just itches the right part of my brain, I guess.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
I don't know.
I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah. What about you? Like, if you weren't doing what you were doing, what kind of career change would you be after?
I would probably be a burden on society.
I'm sorry. What?
A burden on society.
Oh, right. A ward of the state type of deal?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're all going to be those one day, right?
I certainly hope so. I haven't given much thought to what I would do if...
Like tomorrow you flip a whole cube over. I'm done with computers forever, right? Like, what do you think you would do? I mean, there's got to be something you've maybe thought about doing or wanted to do. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I miss making music. I miss being a drummer. I know that's kind of like a really narrow, like not a lot of those professionally. That'd be something I'd be interested in. And gee, I don't know.
So I think the criteria is this, right? I think we all have dream jobs or dreams that we would see ourselves doing, like something we truly love versus I need to make a career change. It has to be something that I want to do and not interrupt my lifestyle tremendously. And for me, I feel like welding kind of does that for me. I would say do like the other thing that kind of crossed my mind was maybe be an electrician, but that seems way more dangerous to me. And there's the whole apprenticeship thing, and I don't know. Like I feel like I'm a little old to get into that game. Whereas I'm sure there's probably some apprenticeship in the welding space as well, because there's different levels that you obtain as far as being a welder. But I don't think it's like trying to be an electrician and joining the guild and like apprenticing and all that stuff.
Like electrician does sound kind of interesting. It's something I'm always been kind of fascinated with, but haven't really understood and or spent the time to really understand. I don't know. This is a hypothetical that I really haven't thought much about. I've been like doing computer junk for so long. It's just like,
that's
I get just what I do now.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I originally, like way back when, I wanted to be a geneticist.
Okay,
but I realized I could not do chemistry at the college level. Like, dude, I tried and I earned that D. Woo! So, I worked my butt off for that D.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of like me and the whole. That's why I didn't do computer science, right? I couldn't hack the math.
Yeah,
So I get that. Geneticist, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. What do you like about that?
I I don't know. Just when I was in high school, like, and we did a little bit of studying up that, like, in biology and chemistry, and I don't know. It's always just kind of fascinated me. It's like the building blocks of people.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it was a burgeoning field, using genetics to find, determining the genetic source of certain diseases, and then, trying to use that same technology to help people. It was new. It was just brand new. Like, it wasn't being used that much. And it was just fascinating. And I thought that was really going to be my career. And then, those dreams were dashed pretty quick. I realized, like, halfway through that class, like, I'm having a really hard time with this basic as far as the college is concerned, chemistry class, and it only gets harder from here. Like, I don't think I'm going to cut that. I don't think I'm going to cut it.
You got to calculate those moles.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you tried. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I still got a lot of life left, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe one of these days. I'm still going to look into it because I don't know. I always like learning new things too, and I just think it'd be cool to pick something like that up. I'm sure. Chances are, though, knowing me, I would probably like show up day one and be like, "All right, this sucks. I'm out." Like, it might be that too, right? Like, I've been in those situations before where I'm like ready to jump into something and then I find out that I hate it. Like, I've been there too.
Like, excuse me, sir, can I get my deposit back?
Yeah, I need to go to the bathroom. It's out that door, and then you just never come back, right? Like,
ghost.
Graceful exit. Been there.
Oh
man. Okay. I need to come clean to you.
Okay.
I'm a hypocrite, Paul.
You're a hypocrite.
I'm a hypocrite. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you remember, but let's play this game real quick. I want to say it was maybe 9 or 10 episodes ago. I went on a tirade about a particular piece of computing equipment. Do you remember what that was?
Let's see.
And don't scroll through the doc.
Okay. All right, I'm not going to cheat. Okay, so technology we have talked about. Mm-hmm. There's your water-cooled computer.
Okay.
And all of the little gadgets around there. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We talked about your Wi-Fi network.
Uh-huh.
We talked about your Blu-ray player.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Getting warmer.
Oh crap! I want to cheat now. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to scroll. I'm scrolling.
Let's just say I was very passionate about the subject. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of things you're very passionate about.
Okay, fair.
Okay.
When I say passionate, I mean mad.
Okay, very mad. Okay. There was your garage door opener. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's it.
Nope.
Let's see. Going through.
Maybe it was further.
Is your presentation clicker?
Presentation clickers, Paul. I'm back.
Oh, okay. There it is. All right.
I'm back. So
okay. I'm ready for this. I'm
all right. Yeah. Strap in. So I have become everything I hate, and I bought the $120 presentation clicker.
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. Settle down. So here's what happened. I was preparing to go on site this week, and as such, I always like to dedicate time, usually at night and sometimes on the weekends, to just rehearsing, right? Just being able to both, one, know the material, mm-hmm. right? Just have a secondhand nature of what's on slides. Just listen, I've done a lot of presenting. I kind of know what works for me. Everybody's got their own principles, whatever. There's better presenters than me. I'm not here to say I'm the best, but whatever. Like, I just like having the ability to flow, and that means practice. Well, man, I got to tell you, I just would take a look at my sad, bulbous, like terrible presenter that is hissing, by the way. I don't know how a presentation clicker hisses. But like the laser in it or something is emitting like some kind of noise. I'm sure it's completely unsafe. This thing is garbage. This thing is garbage. It was $40. And like I said at the time, I didn't like it, but it was like the lesser of the evils, and I wasn't going to pay $120 for the quote-unquote Halo product of the Logitech Spotlight or Logitech Show presentation remote. Okay? Fast forward to last Friday, where I was getting ready to practice, and I just took a look at my clicker, and I said, hell no. I literally threw it in the trash, and I drove to Micro Center, and I bought a space gray Logitech presentation remote.
Now, which one did you get?
So I got, let me put a link into the show notes here. Logitech. I got this one. In fact, I got like this exact one, and I didn't pay this much for it because I didn't get it from Amazon. Okay.
I'm following the link right now.
So, Paul, what was I looking for in a presentation remote?
Okay, so your primary, you didn't want a lot of unnecessary buttons, right? You primarily wanted something to go forward.
Yep.
I think you were kind of take it or leave it on the laser, laser pointer.
Correct.
You wanted something that was made nice, that wouldn't fall apart in your bag.
Yep.
I think ideally you were looking for something that you didn't have to put batteries in. And Bluetooth?
Yeah. So this so to be fair, this ticks all of these boxes. It literally has 3 buttons on it. It is aluminum. It is very well constructed. Props, right? You know, all due respect, this thing's very well constructed. It has a very large center button. You clearly know where your thumb is resting for the next slide. And there's
that button's indented.
Yep.
So you can kind of,
100%. And then there's a back button. That's 98% of my use case right there. Now, the Logitech Spotlight remote does not have a laser. Okay?
Okay.
All it has is the ability to enlarge certain parts of whatever you're presenting on your screen. Now, this is software controlled. So, out of the box, if you don't install any software, the forward button advances, the go back button goes back. Period, full stop, and that's what I'm looking for. This remote also has Bluetooth, so I don't have to use a dongle, and it's rechargeable battery, so I don't have to put batteries in it. Basically, there's a little plastic loop. It's not shown in the picture on the Amazon listing, but there's a little plastic loop in the bottom that pulls out. And that is your dongle if you want to use not Bluetooth. So if you want to use radio, you can basically then plug that in and it would work as if it were plugged in. Also, when that little bottom stopper is removed, there's also a USB-C charging port on the bottom.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's everything I need and everything I want. And like, it also has vibration. So it goes to sleep automatically. There's not an on-off button. It has a nice little carrying case that came with it. It came with a charging cable. If I were to install the Logitech software, which I did not, I would have access to the Spotlight feature, which would expand certain areas of the screen to call attention to it. And you could also do a timer to where, like, after a certain amount of time, like, the presentation remote will just shake, right? Kind of like stealthily in your hand, so you kind of know, like, hey, your time's almost up. Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah. So it is a nice thing. Is it $120 worth of a nice thing? I don't think so. But I am glad that I bought it. It is the one I should have bought originally. I will admit that now. And I used it all this week. It was flawless. I had no problems. I will say that I did not install that software, and I don't necessarily plan to install that software. But 2 things. Number 1, this doesn't have a laser. So like when I'm presenting on like a projector screen, I have to basically use my hand to gesture at the screen. But I'm finding more and more these days, especially like presenting at companies, that a lot of people don't use projectors anymore.
That's true. Yeah.
A lot of people are using TVs now, which would be useless if I had a laser. So,
got it. Yeah.
Okay. So I have not installed the software for this, but I may toy with it to see what it looks like. I don't know. Anyway, I wanted to give that update. They got me. I did it. But I basically have like the Michael Jordan of presentation remotes at this point. And, you know, listen, it just the stark minimalist design of it. It is a nice thing to hold, and it's aluminum. It's not plastic, right? So it's pretty durable. It's space gray. It matches my computer. Like there's a lot of boxes that it ticks for me that other people maybe don't care about. But I did buy it. I did it. I threw away the other one. Good riddance. Yeah, this is my life now.
Yeah, well, I'm very happy for you. Now, I'm a little concerned, right? So I was looking for some more photos of this thing. Excuse me. So I ended up on Logitech.com, and so they boast. There's this little section called Spotlight plus TED, and I assume they're talking about TED Talks.
I mean, who doesn't have a TED Talk?
That's exactly what it is. Here it is. In July 2017, TED and Logitech partnered to create the Spotlight Presentation Academy to share their experience and help everyday people learn to be better presenters.
Huh.
Okay, so you basically have the hipster of a presentation remotes.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're basically saying like, hey, this is like what the weekend warriors of presenters buy, right? Like, this is the guy that goes to REI and thinks he's like a master camper, right? Is that what you're saying? Like,
I'm maybe, I don't know. I might be saying that. I didn't say it, but I mean,
okay,
yeah. And
okay.
every single person in this picture is wearing a collared shirt and holding one of these presentation remotes.
Not everybody, Paul, because there's some women who aren't wearing collared shirts in these pictures. So
okay, you're right. I'm sorry,
but they're all holding various Spotlight remotes. Not like conspicuously is not the word I would use.
Yeah. I mean, they were posed. These are very prepared photos. They're not candid. They want you to think they're candid, but they're not.
Boy, look at that asshole in that last picture. I would never want to hang out with that person.
No. Excuse me. Woo.
Yeah. So, like, if you look at the features in the software of the device, like, I mean, look, they're giving you a nice upsell, but you can clearly see kind of like, I mean, in terms of like what you're getting for this software, it's not bad. And you can get, you can get red because, TED. I would never get gold. Gold looks awful. But I have the slate, which matches the space gray pretty nicely. And then, like, on the back,
okay, yeah.
The battery's not removable, but like, you can see this pretty clearly on the Logitech product page. Like, the other side of it says like Logi, and it's got like a rubber back, which feels pretty good in your hand. Like, it's not you're just holding something metal the whole time. Like, if you ever needed to replace the battery, like, that flap comes up, and they basically say like, before you throw this thing away, you're supposed to take the battery out and recycle it. But I think we both know that's not going to happen. Yeah, I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah. Now, if you remember the discussion, see, here's what I don't understand. Like, when you go to, like, we're basically replaying part of the podcast we already did, but like,
okay, let's do it.
But like, there's the Spotlight presentation remote, and then there's the Spotlight presentation remote. Like, when you go to the all presentation remotes, like, it looks like there's two things, and one's on sale and one isn't. What's the difference between those two? I'm going to click compare. Do you see that?
No, I don't see that. Hold on.
When you go to the all presentation remotes.
Okay.
I think like their website's just messed up. Like, if you click on all presentation remotes, there's like two entries for Spotlight presentation.
Hold on, I'm trying to figure out where you're at here. Let's see.
So I'm on the Logitech website, right?
Okay. Yep.
Mouse over products, and then on the left it says presentation remotes.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I got it now. Yep. I had dumb in my pockets. All presentation remotes. All right.
It's there twice, right?
Oh, yes.
Weird,
There's
right?
the Spotlight presentation remote and the Spotlight presentation remote.
And like, one of them you can click to compare, but the other one you can't. And they're the same price. I don't understand. Same colors. I don't know. They done goofed.
Do they take you to the same place? Let's see. Oh, no, one doesn't. One takes you to the very new hipster, TED Talk focused. And the other one takes you to an old and crufty, very enterprisey.
Looks like someone needs a select distinct in there.
Yeah, but they're definitely very much the same product.
They are, and like, you can clearly see on that product page too. To again, we're rehashing old content here, but like, The R500 laser presentation remote is like the next step down from what I think I want, right? Because I don't need, like, if you look at the other presentation remotes, like, they're just gross. Like, somebody thought those designs were good ideas. Like, I don't get that at all. Like, haha, business. But like the R500 is pretty tasteful, and that has a laser. Like, that doesn't require all the fancy software that this one does, and it's like half the price.
Right.
So I don't know. I probably should have gotten that one, but Micro Center didn't have it, and that's where I like to spend my money. Anyway,
got it.
Anyway, I wanted to come clean. You know, I think honesty is a good part of our show. I just felt like I had to get that off my chest. I don't think I could have lived with it.
Well, you know what? It definitely sounds like you were doing more of more presentations and talking in front of people, and you deserve a nice presentation remote. Cause,
I've also deserve it.
Yeah, you do deserve it. I've used cheap presentation remotes, and in fact, the other day I was just cleaning out one of the drawers in my desk, and I came across my old presentation remote, and I looked at it, and you know what I did with it?
Threw it away?
I threw it away. Because, like, this thing is garbage.
Was it one of those old Plantronics ones?
Oh, yeah. It was gross. It took like a AA battery. It was, yeah.
Did it still have the USB insertion method at the bottom and everything?
It sure did. Yep.
Did you still have the USB?
Oh yeah, it was one of those ones where you could take off the battery case and then put the presentation the little RF dongle inside of it.
Oh, yeah.
So it's big and chunky, so you can fit that thing in there.
Yeah, and that was another thing I hated about my old one too, is it wasn't Bluetooth, and again the little dongle was under the case, and you had to take it apart every time, and yeah, just cheap molded plastic. I mean, no, I'm better than that. I'm better than that.
Right.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. All right. What else you got before we call this an episode?
Oh, I don't think I have anything. Do you have anything?
I mean, other than did you see that Microsoft's new Edge Chromium browser hit like release?
Yeah. I did see that. So I'm a Safari guy. All right.
Let me stop you right there. I'm a Safari guy too. I really am. And like, Drew's the Microsoft shill. I get it. I already hear those comments, but like, I think you deserve to give it a shake because you still use Chrome for a fair bit of things, right?
I used to. So I used to have it. So like, Safari was my stuff, and Chrome was work stuff, and I've given that up. I'm 100% Safari. But I'll download it. Fine.
I think you owe it to yourself to try. I think it's a very well constructed browser. I've never been a big fan of IE. I was not a fan of the original Edge. I've been using an internal build of the Chromium Edge browser for a while now. I think it's pretty good. If you're a Mac user or even a Windows user and you're looking for a good browser to use that can kind of unify all of your Microsoft type stuff, it's worth it. And then by the way, since it's Chromium, you can also install like Chrome extensions on it, which I find is interesting.
Okay.
So
I'm installing it right now.
I'm proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then we had, of course, you got to give the compliment sandwich here. We also had a bunch of important vulnerabilities that I hope you're addressing.
Yeah. I have heard of those, and our security guys were on top of those, and computers are hard. Security is even harder. And, they just made a little mistake. It happens.
Are you guys MFA'd over there now?
Yes. Almost all of our stuff, we are MFA'd. That's multi-factored authentication. We've been using, so most of our like single sign-on stuff goes through a company called Okta. And we've been using, the Okta Authenticator app for multi-factor. But we're actually playing around with Yubikeys, and I got one of those.
This is that's not your first one though, is it?
It is my first Yubikey, yes.
Oh, we talked about this a while ago too. Man, this is like Paul and Drew's greatest hits tonight. What do you think? What do you think so far?
You know what? I really like the Yubikey. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be. So in my head, this Yubikey was this magical, mythical device that just somehow integrated and like, was this just unicorn of multi-factor authentication. And then I learned, nah, it's just a little bit of storage, a little bit of compute, and it pretends to be a keyboard.
Yeah, right.
And you push the button and it just spews out a bunch of, nonsense as a keyboard. And I was like, oh.
SSH keys, hardware edition. Right.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's a little disappointing. And then I thought about it and I'm like, well, you know what? That's really not disappointing. That's actually pretty clever.
So I've got, like we talked about before, mine exists solely for like doomsday scenarios where everything else fails, right? So like
right, okay.
my authenticator fails, my SSMS fails, any other method that I cannot get into like my main accounts are backed by hardware device, like hardware keys. So yeah. And the other thing I'm starting to toy with, have you ever used a trusted platform module on your computer?
I have not.
So most laptops have them, but you can put them in desktops. Like my motherboard has a socket for one, and I'm starting to play with those as well. I don't know if I like that yet, but
okay.
Yeah. I'll put a link in the show notes. Maybe we talk about a TPM next time. As I get more familiar with it, it's a pretty interesting piece of tech. So, yeah. All right. Well, I'm glad you're Team Yubikey now. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's...
So, let me ask you this. What do you secure everything with it then, or do you have like certain like infrastructure, like OPSEC type stuff that you secure with that?
So, right now we require like MFA for connecting via the VPN, connecting to Office 365 for your email, connecting to Azure to manage Azure resources, and we also require it right now to basically use a remote desktop into other Windows machines. For some reason, Okta has a small bug where they don't support Yubikey for the remote desktop experience yet, but they're working on it. And that's kind of what I'm the most excited for, because that's what hits me the most. Like, when I'm at the office, I'm not, typically not using the VPN. I'm on the secured network, so I'm not getting prompted for check my email and things like that. But I do remote into servers, at least a handful of times a day. So every one of those is a place where I have to MFA and, grab my phone and watch for the push notification and push the button and say yes. And it'd be nice just to be able to plug my Yubikey into the little dock I have on my desk and just whap that button. And I think it would speed it up for me quite a bit. But overall, I like it. And I think the primary reason we started looking at them is, A, that they're more convenient, but B, the Authenticator app is tied to your phone. And if you ever get a new phone, that's basically a place where, like, until you contact, the security guys or the help desk guys, you're just out, right? Until they go into Okta and remove your old phone and let you register a new one. So I think having the Yubikey just as a backup, saying, hey, no matter what happens to your phone, you have this thing, plug it in, hit it. So yeah, so far so good. I really like it.
Okay, good. Yeah. I don't use mine all that much. There have been times that I've had to dip into it to get it to connect to something for the first time on a new device, but I like having it. I think it's pretty cool technology, so I'm glad you're enjoying that as well.
Okay.
Paul, let's talk about where people can find us.
Oh, indeed. You can find the show on the internet at doingbestpod.com. You can send us an email at contact@doingbestpod.com if you have show ideas, criticisms, comments, whatever you want, send them my way. And you can find me on Twitter at Paul Baylor. That's BAHLER. And where can we find you, Drew?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at PITTFURG. You can find funny pictures or dog pictures. So sometimes the dog pictures are funny. Yeah. You can find me on Twitter over there. So, boy, that's a show.
It is a show.
All right. Until next time.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.